Hi, my name is Jennifer Gray, and I am the Communications Director for MDRS. I have with me today Mr. Reggie Winfield, who is the owner of the Quality Inn in Laurel, who works with us providing internships and jobs through Project Search. Thank you so much for your time today, Reggie.
You're quite welcome.
How did you hear about MDRS?
I heard about MDRS through Tiffany. Tiffany came to we had a grand opening when we purchased the hotel in 2017. We spent about a year renovating the hotel, and we were having a grand opening and ribbon cutting, and Tiffany was part of the chamber, if I'm not mistaken at the time, maybe still is, and she came to our grand opening and introduced us to MDRS, and from that point forward, we've been involved in some way. She's been, just an outstanding champion and trying to help us when we needed help, and so she's been great. Yeah.
Awesome. And we've heard such great stories about your partnership. Could you explain maybe one or two?
Yeah. Sure. So and keep in mind, I had no knowledge about the department or the program. So specifically, she referred over the years several people that were in different stages of unemployment and couldn't work for various reasons. There was one gentleman, and he had gotten injured on his job. He had been at Walmart for several years, got injured, could no longer work. He worked in retail, but his position in Walmart was something totally different and unrelated to what we do. But he had the right personality. He had he checked every box we want when someone comes in. We're in hospitality, so we're looking for smiling, friendly faces that can interact and engage our guests and our customers. Super great guy. So he was one of the first ones that was referred to us, and he probably would still be working. That was probably 3-4 years ago. He would probably still be working for us. Unfortunately, he passed about a year and a half ago. He had a heart attack. But so he was one. She also referred to us a young man. He's autistic, but he's a very, very bright young man. Just a super young man. He comes to work. He never misses work. His uniform is always immaculate. He's just a pleasant and a joy to be around. We picked him up as an employee and never looked back, and certainly no regrets. So.
That's awesome. What would you want other businesses to know about MDRS?
Well, I think it's important to know that one, you all exist. You exist and you can, particularly for small businesses. I think sometimes people think in terms of maybe an employee that might have some issues. Sometimes it could be something as simple as someone being, temporarily displaced, not being able to work for various reasons. Sometimes it's an injury, sometimes it's a sickness, sometimes it's an illness, sometimes it's none of the above. So just knowing that, okay, it is a resource for workers. People in the program, clearly they want to work. They have a desire to work, or they wouldn't be in the program. That's what I found. So just know that, that there are possibilities. Tiffany has offered training. If she referred someone and they weren't quite ready or capable to do the work, that you all would come in and assist with that. We've not taken her up on that. We'd like to do that ourselves. So like I said, they walk in with the right skill set, we'll get them where they need to be. But for some other companies, that could be very useful. Also, working with people with disabilities, sometimes you need training and know how to, your staff may need help and assistance in how to work with people and how to communicate with them. And we work in hospitality. We train our people not to use the word handicap. The word handicap to some could be offensive. Well, to some it can be offensive, others not. But just knowing those little nuances. And why is it offensive? And where does that word come from? Right? What's the etymology of that word? So just knowing little things like that. Sometimes people hear autism and they think various things. We had one young lady who was referred to us who she too is autistic. She could type over 100 words a minute.
Wow.
This was phenomenal. She had a memory. A young man that's still with us. Whatever you tell him, you don't lie to him, because whatever you tell him, he will regurgitate it back to you like you wouldn't believe. But sometimes just learning that things like that, there's different levels to autism. There's just different, just because someone has a disability, okay, well, what does that mean? Oh, it doesn't mean they can't. Certainly, probably couldn't do everything, but depending on the employer and what jobs they have, figuring out, determining, okay, well, what can someone do with whatever type of disability? So, just educating employers. Small companies, we don't have resources. Most small mom and pops businesses, we don't have a human resource department. We don't have this department. So, some entity, some agency that can help fill the void and help with some of those things is obviously helpful and useful for all of us.
That is so important. The main thing you said there is education, and that's really the focus of this call. So if you don't mind me changing gears just a little bit, what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Juneteenth means to me, so Juneteenth, and still, I think it's the second year that the second year that it's been a federal holiday, which great, we all get a day off, but it means a lot. So, the Juneteenth, it's not a particular date. So what does that mean? So for many people, they have no idea what that means. So when slavery was ended, of course, this predates not cell phones, but any type of electronic communication. There was a host of people, primarily in Texas, that had no idea that slavery had ended. So when they found out, I think the story goes, it was sometime in June, and it became a holiday, an unofficial holiday in the African American community, most notably in the state of Texas, called Juneteenth, where it would be celebrated that, okay, this was the end of slavery. This country is a country of immigrants. Okay, this entire country, unless you're Native American, you are some form an immigrant in this country. And Native Americans make up less than 5% of the population. So most of us are, we are immigrants in some way, shape, or form. Well, if you're African American, there's a strong likelihood that you are a descendant of a slave. Well, that's not comfortable for most African Americans. But knowing that there is this holiday where it's recognized that, okay, that is when we or some of our ancestors were aware that they were no longer enslaved. It's a big deal, and for the government to recognize that, I think it's a pretty big deal.
I think so too, and that's just what we wanted to celebrate and honor was Juneteenth and freedom for the African American community, and MDRS also tries to support freedom and those with disabilities. And thank you for working with us to do that. So one last supporting question. What do you want others to know about Juneteenth, as now this is nationally recognized?
Yeah, just the acknowledgement that one, it kind of and maybe kind of dovetails with people with disabilities. African Americans make up 12-13% of the population. When you look at people with disabilities, they are a subgroup too often sometimes overlooked. People, we look at people with physical disabilities because it's easy to see their physical disabilities. What we are all now learning is that there are so many people out there that have mental disabilities, be it whatever it may be, that you can't see. We can see someone in a wheelchair. We can see someone that might not, that might have some other physical ailments, but oftentimes there are people that are suffering mentally. There's no national holiday for them, but they too often are overlooked. They're in the shadows. No one's paying attention to them. So Juneteenth, I'm not saying it replaces the 4th of July, but it's an acknowledgement that, okay, it certainly can't right or wrong, but it is an acknowledgement. And it's almost something to say, okay, we get it, we understand. And again, just to have it recognized nationally, I think is a good thing. I like to see, just like for the 4th of July, this is just the second year, and last year they just gave us like a 2-day notice that we were having a federal holiday.
Yes.
So it caught all of us by surprise. And this year you start seeing companies, corporate America, we're having our Juneteenth sale, much like you would have a 4th of July sale.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are pushing back, but I don't see anything wrong with that. That's fine. We celebrate the 4th of July. Hey, we'll celebrate Juneteenth as well.
It's very powerful.
Yeah. And I mentioned Tiffany a number of times earlier with MDRS, but I didn't mention her last name, Tiffany Parrish. So she's awesome. Like I said, I love her to death. She's been a real ally since I've been in Laurel. I live in New Orleans, and I know no one in Mississippi. So coming there from afar, she was there again at our ribbon cutting, reached out, and has just really been a friend to the hotel and myself. So you guys have got a great person on your team.
I've noticed this agency is very special with its mission and what it does and its people. So thank you so much for being a part of the mission, and just being a voice. And I hope that today helps, give a voice to Juneteenth. And thank you so much for helping me do that.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Have a good day. Okay.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.